Syrian regime forces have opened a new corridor between two territories held by the YPG terrorist group in northern Syria. Regime forces have taken control of 24 villages in the region after Daesh militants fled the area without resisting. This provides an opportunity for the YPG militants to move supplies through regime-held corridor, something that Turkey and the Syrian opposition groups had tried to prevent by capturing Al-Bab from Daesh. Abubakr al Shamahi is standing by for us in Gaziantep. He joins us live now. Can you explain a bit more about where the regime have been able to advance to?
Well, the regime advanced south of Al-Bab, that was the former Daesh stronghold in northern Aleppo province. Daesh had fled around 24 villages, as you mentioned, and the regime was able to take those villages. Now, of course, Al-Bab was this former Daesh stronghold, and the Turkish-backed Syrian rebel forces had been able to take it last week after a battle that spanned a number of months. And then there were 3 villages nearby as well, Qabasin, Baza'a and Tadif. Those FSA forces were able to take Qabasin and Baza'a pretty soon after taking Al-Bab. But the Tadif was actually taken by the regime on Sunday after clashes with those FSA forces, which left at least 22 regime soldiers dead, according to the opposition side, although we don't have quite the numbers for the opposition killed in that fight. And so they were able to take Tadif, which took them right up to those FSA lines, those Operation Euphrates Shield Forces lines. And now they've been able to go right up to Manbij, which is where territory controlled by the SDF, which is largely made up of the YPG, where they control areas. So now it's interesting in that they've been able to go, like I say, right up to FSA lines and right up to SDF lines as well.
So what significance does this advance have? Is this regime cooperation with the SDF and YPG?
Well, if we look at the Operation Euphrates Shield, so this Turkish-backed Syrian rebel group operation going into northern Syria that began in August, aside obviously from the fight against Daesh, that was one of the primary goals of that operation, one of the other goals was to prevent the link between these YPG-dominated areas, so the cantons to the east and to the west, and the taking of this territory in northern Syria by Operation Euphrates Shield effectively split those two areas and prevented them from uniting. Now this could change, and whilst many people, might think, well, how can this be, considering there's the regime and obviously the SDF is ostensibly considered an opposition group, but in fact there has been cooperation in the past between the two and coordination. Yes, there have been clashes over this 6-year war, but by and large there has been cooperation and coordination, and ties have been largely peaceful between those two sides. And so you have areas in Aleppo that are still controlled by the YPG, Aleppo city that is. You also have areas in some of the YPG-dominated territory in the northeast of the country, in Al-Hasaka and Qamishli, that are actually controlled by the regime, and there seems to be no issue between those two sides. And the SDF spokesman actually completely welcomed this regime advance. He said it was excellent, and in talking in terms of possibly the civilians being able to now travel between different areas, but also this highlights or adds fuel to those who do say that the YPG, the SDF and the regime are simply two sides of the same coin, that they are actually allies, and that, in effect, this does prove it.
Thanks for that, Abubakr al Shamahi, on the latest from Gaziantep near the Turkey-Syria border.